Africa by Europeans, all they could see is that everybody had the same skin color. So when they divided up the world by races, they just say Black African. And that became a bin into which they put every person they ever found in Africa, because they saw skin color. They weren't seeing anything else, though. Other elements of genetic diversity, of genetic expression. If all you see is skin color, you'll miss things like height, or intelligence, or motivation. Other things that could be encoded within a person, within a group. So now watch. All evidence shows that life began in Africa, and later left Africa to go into Europe, across Asia, the land bridge into North America and South, but all began in Africa. You would expect the greatest genetic diversity of the human species to be expressed in Africa. That's what you'd expect, because it all began there, okay? So what do I mean by genetic diversity? Is it skin color? Because that's what everyone thinks about when they, no, forget skin color, forget it. I'm talking about other features you can measure about people. So, if you have the greatest genetic diversity, where would you find the tallest person in the world? It'd be in Africa. You got the Watusi.
That's true.
Where would you find the shortest person in the world? It would be in Africa. You got the pygmies. Where would you find the fastest person in the world? You find him in Africa. We're getting him off the west coast of Africa. Where would you find the fastest at long distance with stamina? You find it in Africa. It's a different part of Africa. You get that from Kenya, which is on the east coast. You get the sprinters on the west coast, okay? If you wanted to find the slowest person in the world, it would be in Africa, but there's no contest for that, okay? If you wanted to find the dumbest person in the world, however you want to measure it, it'd be in Africa.
So the most intelligent person.
The most intelligent person in the world would be in Africa. And in fact, there is a project called the Africa Einstein Project. And they're looking for the next Einstein in Africa. Because that's where you're going to find the smartest person there ever was in the world. But historically, Europeans are not thinking that Africa is going to have smart people, because that's not how they were represented ever. Okay? This was written about, Stephen Gould wrote about this in his book, The Mismeasure of Man. There's a shelf in the British Museum that has a brain in a jar. It's the brain of a famous psychologist, anthropologist, Broca, okay? And next to it, on another shelf, are the genitals of a black male African.
The fuck?
In a jar. Well, that kind of says it all. You save the brain of the African? No, you saved his genitals. Did you save the genitals of Broca? No, you saved his brain.
Wait, don't go!
As an African, on one hand, you may be happy that our continent is having the smartest people in the world, the tallest people in the world, the fastest people in the world. Yeah, probably the most beautiful people in the world. But on the other hand, we are having the shortest people, the dumbest people, the ugliest people. This is a big problem for Africa, and if you give me a moment, I'm going to explain.
No? Okay, I'm listening.
You see, human minds naturally pay attention to the negative, while we oftentimes ignore the positive. Psychologists call this negativity bias. So, because of negativity bias, if you have any environment, in this case, a continent, where you are having extreme of positivity and extreme of negativity, what happens is humans, we naturally see more of the negative, and most of the times they will not see the positive at all. I'm going to talk more on this later in the video. For now, let me try and show you practically how negativity bias affects human mind. Look at this lady.
She's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's pretend that you are this lady and you dressed up in the morning. Immediately you stepped out of your house. Somebody looked at you and said, "Wow, your hair is beautiful." Now, naturally you will say, "Oh, thank you." But you are happy about that compliment, right? Okay, but 3 hours later, another person look at you and say, oh, where did you make this hair from? It is horrible. Now, you have received one compliment about your hairstyle and one negative comment about your hairstyle. Once you assume that...
I'm already here on my other monitor that I looked up. It says right here, ancient Egypt is arguably the most well-known of Africa's ancient civilizations. It began around 3400 BCE. Originally, there were 2 Egyptian kingdoms. Africa is home to the first humans, and this gives a new meaning to its nickname, the motherland. Continent has the longest history. Africa has been around for a very, very long time. The only part of African history known to most people has to do with the arrival of the Europeans in Africa. Too many is almost as if Africa had no history up until time. So that should tell everybody something, man. Black people was the first people here on this planet. You know? Back to the video.
The negative and positive should cancel each other. Unfortunately, when you are about to sleep at night, you are very much unlikely to remember the positive comment, but you will remember the negative comment because your brain as human tend to exaggerate the negative, while most of the time it just ignore the positive. Let me give you another example. Let's say you grab your phone and you write some post on Facebook, Twitter, or whichever platform you use. And 30 minutes later, you discover that 5 people had commented on your post. But while reading through the comments of the people, you discover that 4 of those comments are positive. They are telling you how great your post is, how good it is, and good things like that. But then you saw this negative comment. What do you think will happen to you immediately? Well, what happened is your mind automatically forgets the positive comments and concentrates on the negative comments. And in fact, I will not be surprised if in the next 3 weeks you are still remembering that person who dropped a negative comment on your Facebook post. But remember, you actually received 4 positive comments. Why can't you remember those?
I just hate how negative the world is.
The reason is because, again, human mind naturally exaggerates the negatives while we ignore the positive. Okay, now, let's go back to talk about Africa. Don't forget, we are talking about the fact that Africa is having genetic diversity, which means you have in the same environment the smartest people, at the same time the dumbest people. You are having the tallest people, at the same time the shortest people. Probably you're having the most beautiful people, at the same time you're having the ugliest people. Unfortunately, when you have such environment, what happens is everybody else from the rest of the world tend to forget all those positives. Why they see the negatives as being the only thing that exists in that environment. Just as 3 days after somebody dropped a negative comment on your Facebook post, you are still remembering that negative comment. Even though there are 5 positive comments, you are forgetting they exist. In their 2001 study published in Sage Journal, Professor of Psychology Paul Rosen and Dr. Edward Roseman called the phenomenon I just described to you now negativity dominance. And the idea is negative and positive, even if they are at the same measure, negative always dominates positive in the mind of humans. So the implication of that for Africa is that everybody from the rest of the world we naturally not see the positive side of Africa. They will naturally see the negatives. And because they tend to see the negatives alone, they would think we are not capable of any exceptional mental capacity.
That's so sad.
People want to say the aliens built the pyramids,
Yeah.
and I'm saying, no, Africans built the pyramids. And you're European come to Africa, and it's some technology, some architecture that's beyond your capacity, and you're going to say aliens did it because you will not credit Africa for having that kind of ability?
I see you.
What's
Yeah,
wrong
it
with
is.
you?
Okay, I see that.
And sometimes,
Speaking of that, I mean, I believe the Anunnaki were Africans, you know, type of African beings. I'm not gonna go too deep. Just wanted to say what I wanted to say.
when they want to credit us for anything, they can naturally or easily see that we are stronger because we are Usain Bolt of this world, or we are Muhammad Ali of this world, or they ridiculously think we have bigger genitals.
Someone once said that being a stranger in a strange land is a curse, whoever it was.
This was written about, Stephen Gould wrote about this in his book, The Mismeasure of Man. There's a shelf in the British Museum that has a brain in a jar. It's the brain of a famous a psychologist, anthropologist, Broca, okay? And next to it, on another shelf, are the genitals of a black male African in a jar.
Wow.
Well, that kind of says it all. Did you save the brain of the African? No, you saved his genitals. Did you save the genitals of Broca? No, you saved his brain. So the inherent bias that shaped how this world now sees itself is tragic.
Now you might want to think, oh, everybody else in the world who think everything that exists in Africa is negative are bad people. Well, that would not have made our case terrible. What makes our case even worse is that because of the negativity dominance, even Africans, me and you, are very much likely to be tempted to assume that the only thing that exists in Africa is negative. And you can confirm what I'm talking about just by having conversations with an average 25 years old African. I mean, if you gather 10 Africans, 9 of them are just negative about Africa. In fact, I have never read a study about this, but I am assuming that the biggest dream of 90% of African young people is to get out of Africa. Why do you think that's the case? Well, only reason why the biggest dream of most Africans is to get out of their countries and their continent is because these people think everything that exists in their country is negative. And again, this is as a result of negativity dominance.
Solution and conclusion.
In June of 2008, to be specific, on June 30, 2008, I wrote my final exam in a polytechnic where I was doing my diploma. And exam, I announced to my parents that I was not ready to further my education. I wasn't ready to go to university as they had planned. Instead, I wanted to go and figure out how to build my own company. If you're an African, you probably know what will happen next. My father was angry. My mother was crying. Everybody in my family was calling to warn me. And what I was hearing again and again is, oh, things are difficult more than you think they are. You are being naive. This is Africa. Nobody's going to help you. People in Africa don't help themselves. Remember, your parents are poor. You are not going to get capital. You are going to destroy your life. Again, this is Africa. Things are not possible here. But I told myself, yeah, this is Africa. Things are difficult. But there are some opportunity too that nobody pay attention to. Maybe I can figure out how to build something with my life. I am not making this video to make you feel as if it is very easy, because it took me 8 long years before I was able to build my first successful company in the year 2016. This is the point I'm trying to make with this video. Africa is like a tall mountain. Even though it is exciting to get to the top of the mountain, usually the top of the mountain is also the coldest place you can be compared to people who are down there. In Africa, we have these two extremes. Because of the genetic diversity in Africa, you have extreme of good and extreme of bad. Extreme of the smartest people and the extreme of the dumbest people, tallest people and shortest people, and probably the most beautiful people and the ugliest people. Now, if care is not taken, you will not see anything that is here. You are going to see everything that is here. And that is a big trap. I think the biggest trap most Africans are falling for. So what I think we have to do is to start becoming conscious. We have to train our brain to start consciously looking for the good in our continent.
Introducing Astapro, steroid-free allergy relief that starts working in 30 minutes, while other allergy sprays take hours. Now with Astapro Fast Allergy Relief, you can Astapro and go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell too. It's been a while since I uploaded, but I'm going through a lot of things and trying to get things. Gotta get myself back in the motivation of doing. Appreciate the watch. Appreciate the like. If y'all leave one, do that for me. A new YouTuber, man. I'm trying to do my thing. It'd be helpful if my subscribers were watching my videos, these likes. Appreciate that. Peace out.